Kakadosh Boker Shavuot Tov, Masechet Shevuot Daf Yomi, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, 3A1. We're just going to start on 2B, the Gemara. The Gemara comes and it says like this. Michti, let us see. Tanam Makot Salik. What was the Masechet prior to Masechet Shevuot? We just did a Siyu Masechet on Makot. Maishna Detani Shavuot. Why do we learn Shavuot after, right, Makot? Think about it. It doesn't make sense. Why are you doing Shevuot, right before, right, Makot? That's the question. So he says, Mishum Detani, since we learned Chayav ala Rosh Shtaim, Achat Mikan v'Achat Mikan, we said in Masechet Makot that if a person comes and they take off their Peat HaRosh, so therefore they get two sets of lashes, one for one side of the head and one for the other side of the head. Correct? That's what we learned in the end of Makot. Very good. Ve'ala Zakan. We learned on the Zakan. You're going to be Shtay Mikan, V'chamem, Tzorei V'cham Milamata. Two on one side, two on the other side, and one in the middle. So he says, Chada de Mechai ve'ale Tarte, which is in Zanazara, you're going to be Chayav, two different punishments. So Tana, so therefore we learned also Shevuot Shtayim She'en Arba. Meaning sometimes you could do an Avera, which is worth two. Right? So therefore the same thing he's coming and saying, so too over here we're going to learn Shevuot, which is going to be two, which is Shaveh, four. Right? Well, that's what. So the same thing. Just like over there, we learned that you could come and you could have, right, one azara and two different punishments or two different averot, right? That's talking about the Peat HaRosh or also so same thing over here. Fine. So says the Gemara, Maishna hacha de tani lehu lechulhu, Maishna gabi etziot hashaba maron nagim dekutenu lechulhu. He says 1 second. Here, in our Mishnah, we taught all the 2x4s. You know what the 2x4s is, Richard?
Yes, of course.
The 2x4s was
Shabbat.
Yes, two of Shabbat that becomes 4. 2 of Negaim that becomes 4.
Yeah.
2 of
everything.
everything.
I don't bring it down,
No, but that's not the same thing, right? But what is the concept is that all the 2 avot that become 4 in total. So why is it that we learned right over here? We didn't learn everything, meaning Yetziot Shabbat, Sarat, right? We didn't learn the 2 that becomes 4, right? Here we learned everything. Every 2 that becomes 4, we learned it. Why? So he says like this. Amri, we said Shevuot v'Yedot Tumah the Gabe Adadi Ktivan. Do you know that Shevuot and the Yediot Tumah was written beside each other? This is in Vayikra Hey. The Shevuot is Psukim Bet and Gimel 2 and 3, right? You're checking it up, yeah. And then Yediot Tumah is Pasuk Daled. And they're also compared to each other with the same korban olev yoden, right? So he says, therefore we learned the 2 together. So we learned Shevuot, right, which is vows, and also Yediot Tumah, whether you became tameh or not tameh, we learned them together. So he says, however, though, right, he says, so now once you already taught 2 of them, so now you're going to learn all the rest. So therefore, even though the rest of them, which is not compared to each other, right, which is it, so therefore we're going to learn them. Even though Be'emet, it's not really kashur echad l'shani, right? So Shevuot and Yediot Tumah, they were together. But once you have those, so you're going to learn Negaim, you're going to learn Shabbat, you're going to learn. Why? Because that's the way it is. Okay? Fine. Patach b'Shevuot u'meferish Yediot Tumah. Says the Gemara, I don't understand you. Do you know that it started with Shevuot? Because that's the Masechet. But then all of a sudden it goes and Yediot Tumah. What's going on? Yediot Tumah has nothing to do with Shevuot. Yediot Tumah is you went into the Beit HaMikdash. Tameh, not Tameh. So if the majority of our Mishnah was dealing about Yediot Tumah, well, what's going on? We're talking about Masechet Shevuot and we're dealing with Tumah. So he says, I did the Zutra Milayhu, from the fact that Yediot Tumah, there's so little tiny of the things to do with Shevuot, Pasig Shadi Lehu, so therefore we went and we actually learned all the halachot. And then we went and we spoke about Shevuot, which does have a lot more halachot, and then we continue from there. Shevuot Shtayim Shehen Arba. Yeah, imagine right now you have Shevuot. Shevuot, we said, is going to be 2, which become 4. Shetayim, 2 of them is going to be Shochal Shalochal, whether I'm going to eat or I'm not going to eat in the future. Shehen Arba, which is going to become 4, Achalti or Lo Achalti, I ate or I did not eat in the past. Right? Remember, it's always I will or I will not. But the first one, which is Mina Torah, is always in the future. And then I will or I did not is in the past. Okay? And that's not Mefurash in the Torah. That was just added. Okay? Yediot Tumah Shtayim Shenaba. Shtayim, which is Yediot Tumat Kodesh. 2 of them is knowing right? That at the beginning you became tameh, but ne'elam mimenu, right? That tum'ah, and then you ate the kodesh. V'idiyat tumah migdash, and also the v'idiyat tumah migdash. Remember, there are two different things. One of them is going into the actual sanctuary, the Bet HaMikdash, right? The temple. And then there's another thing of eating basar kodesh, eating the meats of the korbanot. No, chas v'shalom. So the same thing. Truma is mitabi de shamayim. It's nothing to do with what we're talking about here, right? Kodesh is much higher level than truma, right? Truma, right, is only eaten by kohanim. Kodesh can be eaten, right, by anybody, right? If it's a korban that there, first of all, you brought a korban shlamim, so there's meat. You eat that meat. That's called kodesh, right? But yes, that you sacrifice, you bring it to the Kohen brings it aside, and then the Kohen gets certain parts, and then you get certain parts of the korban. That is called kodesh. It's not truma. Truma is a completely different world, right? Completely different.
Right.
Yeah, fine. So he comes and he says this. So he says over here, right? He says, right, shehen arba, which become 4. Kodesh, right? Now, what is the other 4? The other 4 is kodesh umikdash, which means that another 2 of them, which are numbered to mifurash in the pasuk, which is talking about that you knew at the beginning, right, that this is kodesh, but you forgot about it and then you ate it b'tumah. Or you knew that this is a bet hamikdash, but you forgot about it and you came in with tum'ah. Okay? So, right? That means, again, you knew about the first 2 was you knew about the tum'ah, right? But you forgot that then you eat the kodesh, okay? And then he comes and he says the other 2 is going to be that you didn't know at the beginning that it's kodesh, or you knew that there's a bet hamikdash, but you just forgot about it, and then you came in with tum'ah. Yetziot Shabbat, which is 2, which become 4. Shtaim is hotza'ah da'ani, right? 2 of them is going to be when the ani is taking out from his domain to the other domain, right? Those are going to be the 2 in total, which becomes 4, the ani bringing in and the balabai bringing in, meaning like this. Remember that there's hotza'ah and achnasa. Hotza'ah is I'm taking out, so I'm doing an action of taking out. There's the achnasa. What is achnasa? Bringing in. So for example, right, let's say right now I'm in this room and the ani is outside. So this is my house and the ani is outside. So what is achnasa? That the ani puts his hand into my house. That's called haknasa, right? What is hotza'ah? That I take my hand from in my house out to the ani with the whatever it was, the loaf of bread or whatever. So therefore it's hotza'ah and haknasa. So 2 of them is going to be the hotza'ah, 2 of them is going to be the haknasa. The last Mishnah, which is going to speak about marot negaim shnaim shanav ba, shnaim, there's only 2 which are doraita, which is se'et and baheret, which become 4, which is se'et v'tolata, baheret v'tolata, which means all the toladot of the se'et or the toladot of the beheret. That's why it becomes 4. Says the Gemara on the bottom of Gimel Amud Aleph, Mani Matzniti. Yeah, who is the author of our Mishnah? Lo Rabbi Yishmael, v'lo Rabbi Akiva. It's not going to be Rabbi Yishmael, not Rabbi Akiva. Why? Either Rabbi Yishmael, if you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Yishmael, ha'amar eno chayav ela atid lavo. He says that if somebody is going to make a Shevuah, which is going to be Shevuah between la sheker. Well, remember, here we're talking about that he made a Shevuah that was false, right? It was a Shevuah bitui that was false. So, for example, I'm going to sleep tomorrow, or I'm not going to sleep tomorrow, or later on. That has nothing to do with testimony. It has to do with something that has to do with the stuff. Am I going to do something or not? Huh? Yeah, plans or whatever. So therefore, if you're going to come and you're going to do that, eno chayav, you're not going to be chayav a korban ulev yored ela latid lavo, only if it's going to be on the future. Which means he doesn't. So that means obviously our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Shmuel says even on the past you're going to be chayav. In our Mishnah, said that even on the past you're going to be chayav. According to Rabbi Yishmael, it's only going to be on the future. Rabbi Akiva, if you're going to tell me now shitat Rabbi Akiva, ha'amar, he comes and he says al helem tuma hu chayav ve'eno chayav al helem mikdash. You're only going to be chayav if you forgot the tum'ah. However, though, if you forgot about the mikdash, right? That means this is the Bet HaMikdash or this is Kodesh, you don't bring this korbanot. So it's not Rabbi Akiva either, right? That means it's neither or. Like, who's the author of our Mishnah? So answers the Gemara. If you want, you could say it's going to be Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva. If you want, you could say it's Rabbi Shmuel. If you want, you could say Rabbi Akiva. If you want, you could say it's going to be Rabbi Shmuel. Mehen lechiyuv or mehen liftur. Some type of Shevuot, you're going to be chayav a korban, right? Which is only the two which are going to be latil lavo. And some of them you're going to be patur, right? Which is going to be the two which is on the past. Like just like Rabbi Shmuel holds that there's not going to be a korban or lev yored on Shavuot Vitu, only on that teeth. So that's exactly like him. Meaning, we just say that there's four categories, but nobody said that you're chayav on all four. So therefore, according to Rabbi Shmuel, he just says, listen, right, we said that there was two which become four, the two which is going to be, right, on the past, which become four, which is on the future. Now we're saying, one second. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you're only chayav a korban on the future. You're not chayav a korban on the past.
They're still forbidden, but
right? But it's still forbidden. But just you're patur from a korban. So it could still be Rabbi Shmuel. Okay. The Baitema, if you want, you could answer the entire Mishnah could be like Rabbi Akiva. Yeah. Yeah. He says, Baitema Rabbi Akiva, if you want, you could answer it's Rabbi Akiva. He comes and he says, why? Mehen lechivu, mehen leptur, the exact same thing. According to Rabbi Akiva, again, you still have two which become four, but some of them are going to be chayav and some of them are going to be patur. On the helem tum'ah, meaning that you forgot that you were tameh, or that the food was tameh, so that you're going to be chayav. But on the tum'at kodesh or tum'at migdash, right, that you're not going to be chayav korban, which is that you didn't know about the tum'at kodesh or the tum'at migdash, that's going to be exactly like Rabbi Akiva, but again, it's going to be liftur. Okay? So sometimes you have chiyuv, sometimes you have liftur. It's still their shita, meaning it's still four, two which become four. Just sometimes you have chiyuv and sometimes you have liftur. So says the Gemara, can you actually come and you tell us that when we spoke about whether it's a Shavuot or you do it to Tumah, liftur means that you're going to be patur from a korban? Gimel Amud Bet, 3b. Very good. Hadunya de marot negaim ktani. I thought that it had to be like marot negaim, meaning we compared all four of them together. Yetziot Shabbat, marot negaim, Shavuot, and Yediot Tumah. All four of them, we compared them together. So if it's going to be compared to negaim, all four of them are going to be chayav. So to hear kulu nami lichyu, everything should be chayav as well. Meaning, if I'm already comparing all the apples to apples and not apples to oranges, so therefore, when I always say two becomes four, they're all chayav. It's not that two of them are chayav and two of them are patur, right? It's just like so. Says the Gemara, you're right. Le'olam Rabbi Shmuel. Really, be'emet, it is Rabbi Shmuel. Meaning, our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Akiva because we just asked this question. And really, by Emet, it's going to be Rabbi Shmuel. V'chilo mechayev Rabbi Shmuel le'ashavar. Rabbi Shmuel told you that you're never going to be chayav on the avar. You're only chayav al atid, on the future. But al mashe asita kvar lo asita, right, which is al avar, on the past, you're not going to be chayav, right? So he comes and he says, korban, he says, you're not going to be chayav a korban. Aval malkut chayu v'mechayev. You will get lashes. I mean, you're right. You don't get korban on the past. You get lashes on the past. The person comes and he swears, and he says, I did not sleep yesterday afternoon. And he swore falsely, because he took a siesta. So what happens? He doesn't bring a korban according to Rabbi Shmuel, but he gets lashes. So therefore, even though we said he's saying the words liftur, or like patur, the patur is only for korban, but not for punishment, because punishment he still gets lashes. So therefore, when we're comparing it to the negaim, it still could be compared to the negaim. And like Rava, the Amar Rava Rava says, do you know Befirush the Torah included Malkut on Shevuot Sheker, just like Shevuot Shav, which means that just like Shevuot Shav, it's written Lotisa Hashem Elokecha LaShav, right? Don't carry the name of God in vain. And the Chachamim say that Dafka in the name of Hashem, you're not going to become, but Betin come and they give you lashes, and that's how you get clean from it. So the fact that it comes and it tells you that there, you didn't need it. So why did you need it? To put it for Shevuot Sheker, right? Remember, Shevuot Shav is a Shevuah. It's a vain oath to change something that's known to everybody. So for example, if you're going to come and you're going to swear on a man that's a woman or a woman that's a man, okay, nowadays I don't know how much you can do that, but okay, fine, but whatever. But that's the case that it brings down here. Or on a stone, right? That is gold. If somebody's going to swear this table is gold, you're going to tell me, Rabbi, what do you do? That's called Shevuot Shav. Right? Why? Ani oseh Shevuah lishanot mashu sheyadua lakol. Ze lo kilu I've got a safek, and now you come and say, yes, no, or I did something or I didn't do something. How do you know? You don't know what I did, right? You don't have a camera on me 24/7. Okay. Yeah, but meaning that So then that's gonna be that's not Shevuot Shav. Shevuot Shav is changing something which is 100% right Yadua. Okay, Shevuot Bitui is what we talked about. Did you sleep yesterday or not? That's called Shevuot Bitui. Okay, so Mashav the She'avar, just like Shav is something on the past, so to Sheket is also going to be the She'avar. So says the Gemara, Bishlama achalti velo achalti. I understand that I did eat yesterday, I didn't eat yesterday, kedrava, then you could get the lashes. But shelo achal ve'achal, nami lav sheyesh b'maasehu, even that I'm not going to eat or I am going to eat, that's a lav sheyesh b'maaseh. Because when I eat, I did an action. But ochal velo ochal, I will eat or I will not eat. So he comes and he says, right, 1 second. Amai, why? Lav shemu maaseh. He's not over on the Shavua only when he doesn't eat. Now, if he doesn't eat, that's a lav shemu maaseh. Do you get lashes on lav shemu maaseh? So we actually learned that it's a machloket, right? But we said that we don't get lashes on lav shemu maaseh. But there's a machloket between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yochanan, if you remember, right? That according to Rabbi Akiva, you do get lav shemu maaseh, you do get lashes on it. But we usually hold that not, and that was beta mubet in Sech Makov, where we learned lav shemu maaseh and lo kin lav. That's why you don't get lashes for lo ta'aneh when you come and you're an ed zomem. That's why we needed pasuk of yitztik otetzli v'shot rasha v'yam kot rasha, because you do not get lashes for lav she'en bo maaseh.
What happens if I say?
So says the Gemara, Kasava Rabbi Ishmael. Rabbi Ishmael holds lav shemo maaseh lo kin lav. The lav shemo maaseh you do come and you do get lashes.
It doesn't involve in it.
Yeah, exactly. That means you do get lashes even if it's going to be a lav shemo maaseh. So ask the Gemara, if so, kasha de Rabbi Yochanan. If you're going to tell me right now that you get lashes on lav shemo maaseh, so then you have a stira between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan. Why? The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says usually halacha is like a stam mishnah. The Itmar, right, which means that halacha is like this mishnah, but it's stam mishnah. And therefore, how could it be that means you get lashes lav shemu maaseh? The Itmar, it was stated, Shevuah she'achal kikar zo hayom ve'avar hayom v'lo achla. Imagine right now a person comes and makes a vow that he's going to eat this bread, this loaf today. And then it passed by and he didn't eat it. Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish, there's a machlok between Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish. Tamar Tavai, both of them said, Eno lokeh, you don't get lashes. Now Rabbi Yochanan says you don't get lashes, but it's lav shemu maaseh. V'chol ha'shom maaseh eno lakin lav, you don't get lashes. And the Shakish says you don't get lashes because it's hatrat safek. We learned this in Makot. You remember it's hatrat safek. Since it's hatrat safek, you don't get lashes because hatrat safek lo shvatra, which means like this. What happens if I come and I say, don't do this, but I'm not sure you're going to be over or not? So it's a hatra, it's a warning. But the warning is on a doubt because it could be that you're not going to do it at all. Any warning which is a doubt is not called a warning according to the Shakish. So according to that, I can't give you lashes. According to the Rabbi Yochanan, I can't give you lashes for a different reason. You know why I can't give you lashes? I didn't do an action. Because when you come and you make a vow, you make a shavua that you're going to eat this loaf, if you do not eat that loaf, that's not an action, that's an inaction. You didn't do something. It's not that you did do something. Right, but it's an inaction. There was no action involved. If there's no action involved, you don't get lashes. So therefore, according to that, it's a stiran, Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says halacha is like Stam Mishnah, which means halacha is like our Mishnah. And our Mishnah was saying that it's going to be like Rabbi Ishmael. And we just said that lav shemu maaseh lo kina lav according to Rabbi Ishmael. And Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says lav shemu maaseh eno kin lav. You don't get lashes when it's an inaction. So answers the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan stama acharina nashkach. Rabbi Yochanan found another Mishnah, which was actually going to be a Stam Mishnah, she'en lo kin lav. And that's why he passed like that one. So says the Gemara, which Stam Mishnah? Hai Stama. So he says, Ilema, if right now he says, Hai Stama, this Stama, the Tanamas, we learned in the Mishnah, Avala mutir betahor, right, vashover betameh, enu loket arba'in. If you're going to leave over meat from a Korban Pesach until the morning, right, bekorban Pesach tahor, or shover bekorban Pesach tameh, enu loket, you're not going to get the lashes, the 40 lashes. So bishma shover, I don't understand when you're going to break the bone of the Korban Pesach and you're going to be tameh, you're going to get lashes. It says, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to break the bones of the Korban Pesach. Remember, the Korban Pesach is supposed to show a hierarchy that you're high up. So if you're not supposed to break the bones, that's what the
people didn't need.
Right? They didn't eat bones. You don't break bones and start eating bones. Right? So he says, right, the kasher velo pasul. But there, it's only going to be on a Korban Pesach, which is kosher, not when it's going to be pasul. But if you're going to leave over, leftover, remember, you're not allowed to leave over the Korban Pesach. Right? Right? He says, don't leave it over in the morning. If you do leave it over, then you have to burn it in fire. So he says, my time out. So what's the reason why you don't get lashes? So lav shem mishum is not because it's lav shem u'maseh. You don't get lashes for it, right? So therefore, from the fact that this Mishnah is a Stam Mishnah, which argues on our Stam Mishnah, that it says that you do get lashes, right? Sorry, our Stam Mishnah was a Mishmael, the lav shem u'maseh, lokin alav, right? You do get lashes. But there's another Stam Mishnah that says lav shem u'maseh and lokin alav. So because of that, Rabbi Yochanan paskin like that Stam Mishnah. Okay? So says the Gemara, Umimai de Rabbi Yaakovi. How do you know that it's Rabbi Yaakov? Daman shem u'maseh loki en lokin alav. Dima Rabbi Yehuda, maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda, right? That he says that you do lokin alav. Mishum ba de ba katuv liten aseh acher achar lo ta'aseh. Meaning because it's giving us a mitzvah taseh after lo ta'aseh, right? V'anotar mimeno aboker b'eretz Yisrofu is a positive commandment. So therefore, it's teaching you that when you come and you have a negative commandment and then you have a positive commandment, you don't get lashes because it's a lav hanitak la'aseh. What's lav hanitak la'aseh? A lav, a negative commandment, which is fixed by an aseh. What was the other example? A positive commandment. What was the other example that I gave you? Of a lav hanitak la'aseh.
Something returned.
Chazak u'baruch. Lo tigzol, right? Ve'shiv et ha'gazela, asher gazal. It tells you don't steal. But if you do steal, you have a mitzvah to give back that which you stole. The fact that you have a mitzvah which is written after the averah, the mitzvah which is to give back that which you stole fixes the averah. And therefore, I cannot give you lashes because you could fix it with a positive commandment.
Is that you violated a girl?
So now it says the Gemara, the Tanya, as we learned, right, in a Braita. You're not allowed to leave over for the Korban Pesach. And if you do leave over for the Korban Pesach, you have to burn in a fire. There's a positive commandment after a negative commandment. Lomar, to teach you that you're not going to get lashes. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda learns a negative commandment which is fixed by a positive commandment, no lashes. Rabbi Yaakov says, Lo min Hashem uzeh. It's not because of this. Somebody was saying, where do we see this concept of Lo min Hashem uzeh? Hashem. Right? It's not the same. It's not the same concept. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So he says, right? Mishum dehava lav shem u'maaseh. It's because it's a lav shem u'maaseh. V'lav shem u'maaseh. Right? And any lav shem u'maaseh, no kin alav. That's the reason why it's going to be patur. Meaning machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov says it's a lav shem u'maaseh. Lav shem u'maaseh, you don't get lashes. There's no action. There's no action, no lashes. Then the other opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, he comes and he says, no, it's a lav hanitak la'aseh, it's fixed. It's fixed by a positive commandment. And whenever it's going to be fixed by a positive commandment, you don't get lashes. So says the Gemara, Elahai stam ashkach. So Rabbi Yochanan found the Stam Mishnah, which learns that you don't get a lashes on lav shem u'maaseh. But in our Mishnah, we said, what's going on? Shevuah shelo ochal kikar zeh, shevuah shelo ochelena. Imagine a person comes and he says shevuah that he's not going to eat this bread. Right? Or Shevuah, so he said it twice. Shevuah shelo ochelena. Two oaths, one after another, for the same thing. Right? One more time. Shevuah shelo ochal kikar zeh. Shevuah that I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread. And then he says Shevuah that I'm not going to eat it. So he does two. So it's like becomes a bogle. Yeah, 2 for 1. V'achala. Now he eats it. Right? Daf Daled Amud Aleph says, Eno chayav el achat. He's only going to be chayav 1 oath. Why? Because the second oath is not chal. Because a Shevuah is not called another Shevuah, meaning I cannot make a double oath on the same thing. You understand? Because it's exact. It's not adding anything. It's one oath on another oath. So therefore, it's the exact same thing. It doesn't add anything. So for that, it's not. So it's only one. So when you ate it, you're only chayav on one. So he says Zohi Shevuat bitui shechavinu zudamakot. So this is a case of Shevuat bitui that if you did it purposely, you get lashes, and if you did it accidentally, you bring a korban ulev yoreh. Remember, korban ulev yoreh means that it depends according to your wealth status, right? What do you bring? Do you bring the animals, right? Do you bring the birds, or do you bring, the flour, right? The solid, right? This is the korban mincha, right? The flour offering. Okay, so this is exactly what we're talking about.
I make a note that I will not